What's up, alien savages, and welcome to another episode. Was geht up? Was geht up? It's been 2 days I haven't uploaded. It feels good to be back. Let's sit back, take a deep breath. How are you feeling, my friend? You know what I realized? What my podcasts have become? In the last podcast I brought the analogy that I just invite you of an hour of inner walk, unfiltered in my head, in my heart, what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking in the moment, and going through it in a vulnerable way that I feel like it's the new wave. I haven't seen that on social like this. And please, if someone's doing that, like, let me know. I wanna watch that. And another analogy I came up with is, you know, if you meet a new friend, first it's just always kind of surface, because it's so exciting and you get to know the person. But then after you actually dropped in, often after a couple of days, the person actually opens up. And this is my podcast right away with you, with my family, my loved ones, and total strangers. But I'm this weirdo where I find this place so comfortable because right now in this moment I'm just talking to a microphone and a camera, you know? So for me, it's even easier sometimes than talking to a person. I mean, at this point, not really. But it is just really easy. And I want to, anyways, because I've seen it all, like, you know, all the hate and all the reflections and see through it. So I have nothing to lose. Only to gain by becoming a better version of myself and helping other people to become a better version of themselves. So... Yeah. So you really, like, this is so funny because people here in Copenhagen, they talk to me, and people I don't know, you know. Some of you I don't know yet. And you just already know me as like your best friend. In a sense, you know everything about me. And this is really cool. This is really cool because we cut all the bullshit, you know. I was having yesterday with Faye this vision of this temple that I would love to manifest on this island. I listened to latest Britney podcast, and there she was saying that at Burning Man, her favorite place was actually the temple, where people came and they cried and they grieved and they meditated and they came together on this vibration, you know. And when she said that, I was like, I would love to create a space on this island that is an actual temple that isn't connected to any religion or any stigma, anything. It's just a place for this, you know. Everyone is welcome. It's open. And we drop in right away. And then I saw, like, in my imagination, this big temple of like different sections. Like there's a whole area for just creating more space to grieve, to cry, to, for all the negative emotions. And then there's a place just for prayers and for meditation, to just sit, and a place to sing, and a place to play. And the overall vibration is the same. It's really conscious. Like, this is what I loved about the ayahuasca ceremony with Rich, my last one, that it was a conscious place. Because in the timeline, we gotta heal. And we gotta take a chill pill that the next years are gonna be a lot of healing. And then, okay, I'm like, let's do it. Let's cut the bullshit and let's heal. And for me, it's so hard to, you know, I go to Xantiva and I see people that I like and that I know I can help. But there's so much bullshit. They're like, hey, Ferdi, yeah. And I'm like, this is all cool, but I know there's something deeper going on right now. And I want to go there. I cannot do these, like, hey, what the human shit. I cannot do that anymore. Or I don't want to. Because it's like, we're on this path of the awakening timeline, and it's unstoppable. We have all chosen that. So this part where we're at right now is not my favorite. I wanna keep going. And then for me, it's only fun if we're like actually keep going and not just pretending everything is fine, whereas the box is open and we continue to heal and awaken, to reach like collective awakening, Christ consciousness, Shakana event, walk-in experience, whatever you want to call it. This is where we're heading the next years. So I'm like, let's cut the bullshit and let's do what we can all feel. And then it feels so good, because if we actually come together in a dropped-in way, vulnerably, to heal and awaken, it feels the best. This is speaking for myself. So that's why, like, at Xantiva, people are like, hey, and I'm just like, I want to go to a temple. I want to host a temple where people come and actually drop in where they're at in their healing and awakening journey. And there are no distractions, no shiny objects, no blah blah. And then we can actually host each other. Because I find myself having so much space to host people. And then I lack the places where people are already there. Because I'm not excited for all this warm-up that people get there, that they actually feel safe with me. You know, of course, for my loved ones and stuff. But I can read people so clearly. You know, I go to the gym and I see what's going on. And I'm like, why do they not just open up? And I get it, because it's a gym. This is not a place for it. This is our societal programming. It's like, you hide it. And then where's a temple like that, what I just described? And I see myself, I have this vision for a while, higher self is giving that strongly, that I'm going to host these ceremonies. And these are ceremonies without any psychedelics, without any blend medicine. It's just these conscious places. Like, this is, I feel like the future of my flow state retreats is these temples where we come together. Like, you know, right now with Faye, it's the last days. I have so much to catch you up. It's really wow what's going on. But like yesterday, I had another breakthrough with her. Of I just want to cut my bullshit in a sense of distracting myself. Of, okay, Faye, what's actually going on right now? I'm still healing from my past relationship, hardcore, like every day. Wow. And I'm getting still some programming out of me of the Ferdi I'm not anymore. So I can be this man in this divine union with Faye, creating this life together in those ceremonies. And this is where I see I'm going. And I want to become that. And I can now get there in like a year or 2 years, or I can get there in like a couple months. And then the question is like, do I want to spend like a year distracting myself a lot? Like watching Prison Break, all 5 seasons, and playing a lot of World of Warcraft and watching porn, and just, these are all distractions, you know, and nothing wrong with that. I love distractions. If you're on a level where you love it. And right now the level I find myself, I don't necessarily love compared to how it was or how it will get. So I want to actually do the job. And this is then the level becomes super comfortable when I actually stop the distractions. So the last days I've created so much space to heal, because there's so much still to heal. Like, you know, my relationship with Brittany, there's so much to heal from it, so much to grieve, so much to process, so much to bury, like letting it all die because it's dead. And this is such a shock to the system that in physical reality, in my body, it goes in waves. Because if I would just experience it all at once, I couldn't handle it. So that's why like the weeks after the breakup, I was like first distracting myself with like Celine and all this stuff, you know, because my body couldn't handle it. And I still haven't processed it all. But now I wanna get done with it, kinda. So whenever something comes up now, I actually go in. Like yesterday, I pick up Afro almost every day for sunset walks. I love it. Like I go to Faye and I pick up Radi, her dog, and Afro and Radi, they're actually biological sisters. And Malibu Beach, where she lives, there's so many dogs. It's so dog friendly. Like I love it. It's amazing. Anyways, I drove back, and always when I go to the collective, like my old home, I get so emotional. And sometimes I just go away quickly to not get emotional. But now I'm like, no, I'm actually sitting there. And I'm really tapping in my emotions, allowing them and process them. Because this is still a challenge for me to actually access my emotions and feel them, to process them. Because there's still, like, let's say 30% of emotions that need to flow through my body that haven't been processed yet. And I want to move on, you know, I want this chapter to be done. So I allow it now to flow through my body, because I can postpone that, but eventually it will, you know. Especially I see so many men that live for years in the state of bypassing their emotions about a breakup and just keeping themselves busy and hustling. And years later, they're full of regrets and they're like, please take me back, please, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, ew. The first thing I actually did when I broke up with Brittany was really looking at, do I regret this? Will I want to come back to her in this way? Because I wouldn't like to be one of those guys. And I looked at this right away, and this was not the case. We really needed to break up. This is not harmonious in any ways. I want to let this all die and then come together with her in a healthy dynamic that is probably brother and sister. So this I looked at first, but then other parts, they're just so emotional. So I, step by step, you know, and now I'm at this point where, Ferdi, stop distracting yourself and get this done, because this is also preventing me to really allowing face, love in 100%. And I want that. I want to be there. I don't constantly want to process things when I'm with her, because when I'm with her, I'm so conscious so the things come up. And I'm so grateful how Faye hosts me in Brittany. I can 100% talk about everything that comes up, and she hosts me. It's so beautiful. But I want to now create more space in my own day-to-day reality to allow the things to come up. And how do I do that? I go to massages frequently, and I don't listen to anything, and then just situations come up of like something that hasn't been processed. And then I process it. And I feel the emotions and I allow it through my body. And for example, it's something traumatic. That, I feel hate towards her. And I'm like, why do I feel hate towards her? Because I feel hate towards myself. Why do I hate myself? Because I feel like in this moment that I just remembered, she abused me. And when I say she abused me, what does that mean? That means I abused myself. Because I could leave at any point, you know. She didn't force me to do anything or whatever. I chose everything. So what it actually comes down to, this is when you actually like get to the deeper levels. On the surface, it's just like, I hate her. This was abusive. This is like the surface level. But when you actually allow yourself to process it, you realize, I hate myself for abusing myself. And then going deeper and deeper into it. By going in this memory that popped up of a situation where I felt really alone in it and felt abused, to come as this Ferdi now and hold me like, hey, I see you now. Now you have a witness in that, and it's okay. And now we're causing realization. Here, this all happened for a reason that you realize that this is fucked up and you're growing. And then I'm at this point where some things I don't get in my body yet. I only get intellectually. For example, the bigger picture why I needed to go through this relationship. I became such an amazing man, and I grew so much, and I saw really fully the darkness, and I'm a way more integrated Ferdi. This is all intellectually speaking, but where I'm currently in my body is I still hate myself for abusing myself for the last 1.5 years and kind of losing everything I built. Because before this relationship, I had so much momentum with my community and my following was bigger, and I was building a lot. And now, like yesterday, I go to the collective, this home I built, all the furniture I bought, the trees I planted, the love I put in, it's gone, you know, it's not mine anymore, and it didn't get anywhere. And my entire life I spent on this vibration I put in myself, and I'm so abundant that I can give to others, and it's always expanding, expanding, expanding. And now I feel like I gave so much, and it's all gone, and I'm damaged that I need to heal. And I'm waking up in this bungalow, and I'm like, why have I not built a big house on Kopangan, as maybe the last 2 years in my own energy I would have built? Why am I not waking up in a villa that meets my energy, and I can host my friends, and we can already create a temple, what I was speaking about? Why am I at a state where I like felt like I lost so much? So this is in my body, and I know it doesn't make sense because I get the bigger picture. But I don't have a lived experience in my body yet. It's the same with my scars on my stomach. I was seeing that eventually, wow, I'm grateful for this, but for the most part, afterwards, like this took me 2 years until I actually in my body got to the state, I am thankful that this happened because now I'm in a way better place. Because of course, right now in my body, I'm still like, I felt like I lost so much, and I'm now like rebuilding myself and healing. But then if I'm, like now going to the bigger picture again, and what I don't embody yet but understand intellectually, that I'm so grateful for Brittany. Like, she's one of my greatest teachers. She took on karma for me. She made me learn so many things in such a short amount of time. The man I became now is like, I love myself so much. And I actually haven't lost anything, because when we got together, I was already done with the chapter. This is what I really have to keep in mind. That the meetups, the flow state retreats, like all the stuff I was creating, I could already feel like I'm done with this in that way. So it actually was, it's all perfect timing, So does it all make sense? So yeah, and this is what I'm like. That's why also the podcast, I want to keep talking about this stuff, because as I speak, I process it. And this is, again, I create space to not distract myself in my podcast to talk about whatever. I speak about actually the most vulnerable things, and as I speak, I process. Okay, I really need to poop. And I'm back. Wow. Was I just really intense? I don't know. It was perfect. Yeah, and I really hope that Brittany's doing the same, because we gotta heal. We gotta all come to our own conclusion that because this is what I said, it's like this knee-jerk reaction, like, I hate her, I felt abused. There's like this kid, like, nah. But then if you go deeper, like, why do I hate her? Because I hate myself. Why do I feel that she abused me? Because I chose it. I abused myself. I hate myself for abusing myself, for being in unhealthy situations where I chose to be abused, I'm like, I chose it all. It's all on me. Like, I hate myself that I got in this 1.5 years of darkness. And I have to process that to actually get to this, like, Faye, she was in a similar relationship, and it took her, I think, 2 years. Like, this is why it's so healing for me, because she's been through that, and then seeing how she healed through that, and it took her 2 years to actually get to this point of unconditional love and being so grateful for her partner back then and everything, and her stories. I'm like, her relationship was way worse. Whoa. And again, like, she's at this point where she's in full gratitude that, again, I keep saying, what happened to me 2020, my surgeries, was one of the best things that ever happened to me. And until I was ready to actually embody that, not talk myself into that or whatever, it took me also 2 years. So maybe if you go through something really traumatic, 2 years, if you're actually working through it, it's just what it takes. So, yeah, sit back. And I'm just so excited to get there with Brittany. And I want to get there sooner than later, because I don't like this in between of still distracting myself a lot and not fully processing it. I want to process it all and I want to move on, you know, and then come back as like adults and enter a new relationship, as I said, probably like brother and sister, just family, you know. So yeah, I'm really excited to stay conscious, stay awake, and not distract myself so much. Like Prison Break, it's so shit. Oh my god, I really, if I continue, I'm only gonna watch season 1. I'm not gonna continue. It's just like hooking me with darkness, and I have to then process the darkness, and it's just like, at this point, it's just distractions, you know. And I'm not saying I'm not gonna watch movies or TV shows anymore. No, I love movies and TV shows, but I just wanna watch them if my higher self tells me there's something in it for me. By like excitement. Whoa, watch this. Like the show Chaos I watched, there was something in it for me. And not by this like, oh, I get so awake, I get a little uncrowned, I need a crown. No, I want to crown these days by going in nature and meditating and not distracting myself, you know, where it like depletes me. Like Faye, with her, I have to stay so conscious, and I want to, you know. Like she can say she feels when I've been masturbated, when I watch porn and when I masturbated, the sex isn't as good. And I can feel that too, you know? So I don't wanna watch porn anymore. So I'm in this energy right now, and I keep you up to date. Like I follow my joy, there is no rush. I love to also play stupid and everything. But I just like, I don't love the timeline where it's at right now, and I love feeling I'm getting somewhere. I'm healing, I'm fully awakening. Like there was a big shift in me like 2 or 3 days ago. Where I really, like I'm going through such an awakening these days. And there was like 2 or 3 days ago where I could really ground this new energy. Yeah. And since then, I find myself in this really awake state, but it doesn't scare me as much anymore. It's just my life. And I've been going to the gym every day. This is like really healthy for me. Gym, ice bath for like 5 minutes, hot sauna, and my podcast. These things are like really healthy for me. And this requires discipline, you know, you just gotta do it. So I'm right now like, I'm finding my own flow again, like after this relationship and healing, and now I'm getting in my own flow of creating more. And it's like, this starts simple by creating my body again, you know. Like if you see my Insta story, my muscle memory is actually so amazing. and again, discipline. So I wrote myself a training plan. I'm doing upper body, arms, shoulder, legs, a 3 split, like splitting into 3 days. And I have a heavy day, and then I have a high rep day. The heavy day is like around 8 reps, and the high rep day is around 12 reps. And I'm aiming to go 6 times per week to the gym. And I just, again, I really channel into my body, okay, these days I cannot do much volume. So my training's having not so much volume. So I can actually do them frequently because it's so healthy for me to train almost every day. And it's so, like, because once I wrote myself a training plan, I felt so excited again, because I'm so in my feminine these days that I'm just flowing, but it's so important to set yourself a framework around. Like also Faye and I, what are we? We are in ceremony, and we don't know what is going to happen the other side when we come out of the ceremony. And the ceremony is going to take at least another month, if not probably longer. And we do it like really the adult way. We're building this framework around. Now, she also starts to work with Vicky. Actually, today, she has a Vicky session from 1 to 3, and I have a Vicky session from 3 to 5. So we go to Vicky every week, the both of us, to like have external guidance. And shout out to Brittany, because she set this up for me. Like, again, I'm so grateful for this woman, because she taught me so much. But I cannot fully in my body yet speak super highly about her continuously, because there's still a lot of negative emotions that want to be processed so I can drop into the full unconditional love with her again. And but I just want to emphasize that no one here gets me wrong. I mean, if you want to get me wrong, feel free. That I'm eternally grateful for her and I love her and she did nothing wrong and we're all doing the best we can. Like, there's no one to blame. There's just something to realize. I hope everyone is learning out of everything and realizing that we're all actually just doing the best we can. We're all actually doing just the best we can in every moment. Once we see it from that lens, that everyone is doing the best he or she can, every moment, we're doing everything out of love actually, we just often don't know better, and I would do exactly the same what everyone is doing if I would be in his or her shoes, we can have all so much more compassion. And then focus on like pointing the finger at our own nose and healing and awakening ourselves. And really embodying this, that I don't judge anymore, I forgive people, I forgive myself, and I move on, and I be guided by my future self. I don't be guided by my past self so much anymore. Like, I'm so much in this nostalgia, but I know this is like, there's also something dying because, oh, this is a big one. Okay, are you ready? I'm so much in nostalgia to finish chapters and to get out the full gratitude of how amazing this time was. Because I had times in my life, like when I lived in Berlin with my two best friends, Philipp and Julian, they moved into my place. And we had it's called WG in German, it's like a shared flat, so we lived together for like 2013 to 2017, for like, what is it, like 4-5 years. We had this golden area where we lived together as our best friends, and we all had so much purpose, and it was so healthy. And back then I couldn't fully grasp it, how amazing it was. It was just amazing, but I didn't know. But now, by seeing it through this lens, by being way more awake, embodied, all these things, I can see how precious this time actually was. And by this feeling of loss and grief, it's actually this feeling of the entire gratitude sinking in my body for how good it was, because back then I couldn't hold it for how amazing it was. So this afterwards, this nostalgia about loss and grief is actually the remaining gratitude for how amazing this time was to sink in. Once you like have the mindset switch of like, oh, I lost it. I'm like, I'm feeling so full of love for how amazing my life was. Like, you know, I come from a rich family, but I didn't even know so much until now, because when you're like in a privileged family and everything, you don't know so much until you like really see it from now, that I see how much people have suffered and go through shit and all this stuff. I'm like, wow, and this gratitude of like sinking in is like, because now I can fully hold it and grasp it. And now this bigger container I have, I'm so excited to build again a new era where in the moment I can have way much more appreciation for the things that are going on, because I'm way more conscious about what's actually happening and know what actually is the formula, what matters in life. You know, our needs, creative expression, connection, and seeing what back then was just like, oh, I'm going with my best friend to the gym every day. It's nothing. Oh no, it's everything. And actually these moments where I wasn't there for Philipp, where I was like, why, like there was this one moment, for example, we were using Snapchat, and he was sending me Snapchats of just like, hey, I'm here, I'm filming you from outside or whatever. And I was like, Philipp, don't send me those. Like, I'm busy, I need to hustle, and we already spent so much life together. And he was really sad. And now I'm like, so sorry. I'm like, bro, those Snapchats were everything. Like, what was I busy? Like, our friendship, that is actually what matters. And now I get that all. So preparing for, like right now, being in ceremony with Faye, being in a relationship with Faye, I can really focus on what matters, you know? And I stop playing around with things that would just like take away from that. And that's why this, like what I'm saying, I want to fully heal to be able to move on to create a life with her. Because as right now, I would love to, but I get ungrounded. Why do I get ungrounded with her? Because I still have to process things to get to this level where I can let her unconditional love in and flow it back. And also rebuild myself as this new Ferdi. Like, it sounds simple, but going to the gym regularly and like the other days I was rearranging my whole apartment, and if you're watching visually, I put out the mattress and I'm sleeping on a harder surface. Like, I always love sleeping on the floor. Like all these things, I haven't fully claimed this place here. And now I do, because I feel more and more safe in my body, and I'm more and more healed that this new version of Ferdi is me and reality is moving through me, and I build myself, and out of myself I can expand. And not just being unhealed and moving on with Faye. Like, no, she deserves me fully in my power, fully healed, and then creating a life together as this man I'm gonna becoming. So I need to become that. I wanna become that. And this is, yeah. So what I'm saying, like, stay awake, stay conscious. And if it's not your favorite place in the timeline right now, see who are you becoming and actually become that. Because what is time? This phase I am in now, as I said, this like healing my past relationship, I could take years. Higher self is like, Ferdi, up to you. You can be a lonely Kopangan playboy for like 1 or 2 more years until you get so empty that you like, but do you want to get so empty? Or the last month I was full of that. And now do you want to stay full, like following your highest excitement? So then actually like do the job. And yeah. I invite you to, let's take a deep breath. Wow, we went all over the place. I feel like I got a little intense, but this is just how I felt in the moment, Wow, there's so much to go into. Yeah, I find myself these days really awake. It's the last weeks I didn't feel super safe in my body. Like, there are levels to that shit. Of course, like I feel pretty safe, but I know what absolute safety can feel like, and I wasn't feeling that. And it was also because a lot that I'm so awake these days that it's scaring me, because I'm awake. I woke up in the dream. Oh shit, I'm fully awake, and I refuse to go back asleep. I refuse to like follow shiny objects and like I'm gonna hustle this and just create myself a distraction goal. No, I wanna stay awake and create goals in this staying awakeness. But being that awake, it scares me. In a sense, like, if I would smoke DMT right now, I'm afraid I just stay on this vibration because I am like this 24/7. Like yesterday, it really hit me that when you say like some monks, you give them LSD and they're just laughing because nothing is different. I really find myself on this level. I know. And it's of course it's like scary because there is no sober anymore. But then it's always going in waves. That the last days I could really ground this energy. That what does it mean? That I feel safe on this vibration and it's not overwhelming me, and I just come back to the always coming back to the basics. Like, before enlightenment and after enlightenment, it's carrying water and chopping wood. Is what the Buddha says. You just do it on a different vibration, but you do the same. Where do you think we go? We just woke up in the dream, but we're still in the dream. We're not like dead. We're not fully in spirit. No, we just woke up to a bigger dream where now aliens are gonna enter the timeline and alien technology and our galactic family, and we're shifting to a higher dimension where we like lighten up on everything, our diet, our like all this shiny object blah. We're like really waking up to the structure of reality. But we're still in a bigger dream. We just woke up to a bigger dream. Like there's always another level. And this is like really embodying the universal message. Like this is what I'm saying. The Ferdi back then, who was just a Bashar boy, he said it all, but he couldn't grasp it fully. And now, really being able to hold that we have been here millions of times, and we will like we're kind of stuck here, in existence. We are eternal beings. Like there is no death or anything. There's just like waking up to spirit. Spirit is our nature, where we kind of eternally sit around the fire and we create the infinite dreams. And now we're like living this big dream of like, now hybrid kids are gonna walk in and Yagyel and Sasani and Anunnaki, and we remember our true record of our galactic history. But this is all a bigger dream. We're waking up from a small dream, not fully awake, but we're just waking up to a bigger dream, because actually awake spirit. And now I'm constantly in spirit too. I wanna stay locked in a dream, because being out of a dream, there's nothing to do, there's nowhere to go. Of why do you think we create all these dreams? Why do you think we create all these limitations? So there's something to overcome and becoming. It's always about becoming. And now I can, like, all these things, I'm just like blah blah, but I can hold it in my body. And it freaked me out the last weeks a little bit, because I could hold it a little too much. But then, you know, like the last days, like 2 days ago, I had the switch where it really synced in my body in a safe way where I could ground that shit. And I was like, okay, I'm doing now everything fully awake. I go to the gym. It's a ceremony. My training plan is... I want to show you my training plan. Because it feels so good. Like, I give my excitement goals again. It's so important to give you excitement goals. That you always create this illusion of working towards something. It's amazing. This is how we're wired. So I'm like, you know, the heavy day, it's like around 8 reps. So I'm doing bench press, 4 sets for 8 reps. And this is the framework. This is the ceremony. I'm doing it. I'm just doing it. And I'm not half-assing things where I'm like, I'm being so multidimensional. Yes, I am so multidimensional. But I'm not all over the place. I'm just full-assing one fucking thing. And not half-assing many things. And this is where like feminine and masculine, I love that. Coming back to this analogy, that in the masculine, you build frameworks around it, and then you can just like flow in the feminine. Because if I just flow in the feminine, then anything is nothing, and nothing is anything, and I just am in the gym, and I do this, and I do that, but what am I actually doing? And then I'm just sitting there. And then I don't feel good. But if I'm like, okay, I need to take care of my suit. This is my job, this is my highest excitement. Okay, let's go on my masculine now and write a training plan. Okay, I'm going to do bench press 4 times 8. I'm going to do lat pull down 4 times 8. I'm going to do rows 4 times 8. I'm going to do some kind of overhead exercise 4 times 8. These are the 4 main compound exercises for upper body. You know, vertical push and pull and horizontal push and pull. These are the 4 main ones. And then lateral raises like the shoulders, because the shoulders for me are like my weak point in a sense. Aesthetically speaking, because I don't care about numbers anymore. Like I'm strong, but I don't care how much I bench or squat. Like for me, I don't care if I squat. Like what's the difference if I squat 80 kilo or 120 kilo? For me, it doesn't make a difference. But for me, what makes the difference is that I squat and stay healthy. And then of course, we all want to look good naked. And for me, for example, my chest is like aesthetically so good, which I have like really lucky genes to that, because I'm not strong, like technically strong and like bench pressing. I'm like bench pressing like 60, 70 kilogram, like not much at all. But my shoulders are not that wide, and the shoulders can take a lot of volume. So I have like, even though the next day I have arms, shoulders, I put in shoulders the day before. And this is what I mean. This is where the fun comes in of the masculine, like learning all about that and building a framework where your feminine can actually like be in the gym and fully be present and in the ceremony, but I have a structure that I know what I'm doing. I'm not just like getting lost in my feminine. So this is where like geek out on your masculine, like set yourself frameworks, and in that flow, like don't become too much in your masculine where you build yourself a prison. And I'm in the gym, and now I put on my timer, and it's 2 minutes break. And it's just like, yeah, but what if you need more than 2 minutes? Like you're just destroying yourself. Like, can you not like be embodied and feel yourself? And maybe the blend says this, because this is just something I aim for. But maybe I can do 2 more reps. Yeah, of course I do them. Maybe now I stop now because it would cause pain. Of course I stop. But I have a framework I can lean on. But then my feminine is where I'm like intuiting and actually playing. But if I don't create a framework around, I'm just creating chaos often. This is where like merging the feminine and masculine inside of you is so powerful. And I went to both extremes. Like in the past, too much in my masculine, where I built myself a prison, and frequently too much in my feminine, where I just got lost in the flow. And then, yeah. Because also just geeking out about training, this is something interesting. Why can the shoulder, for example, take so much more volume than, for example, the chest? Because both are not that big of a muscle. Because the shoulder, there is no stretch. I do lateral raises, I go like up and down. It's like such an easy exercise. But for the chest, like this movement where I go back, I stretch the chest. And out of the stretch, like moving that muscle out of a stretch, it's just way more work. Whereas like just like putting my arms up and down, there's no stretch on the muscle. So it can take way more volume. At least this is what I remember back in the days watching a video. So this is like some muscles can take way more volume. So like the calves you can do every day if you want to. So yeah. So watch Ferdi, watch me. I'm getting in such amazing shape. Yeah. I'm like, you know. So, and it's all, you know. Anyways, let's take a deep sip. I'm like rambling here. Wow, I'm all over the place. And yeah, no. So set your excitement goals. So for example, my ideal morning right now is I make a baby coffee in the morning. I record my podcast. And before I now get into my feminine and like I can stay here in my spaceship, in my tree house, my spirit home, I can stay here the whole day and just flow. And then I just now start editing my podcast and I make it nice and I make some cutouts and I'm listening to music. Like I just like the vibration of spirit. And I go on Instagram and I post stories and I paint and I just like, and I get creative and I just like, at the end I just like listen to music and I feel good in my body. But I'm a physical being and I gotta like take care of my suit. I gotta share my energy. Like this is why I'm here. So like, that's why my masculine is coming back. Okay, bro, you drink a baby coffee, you record your podcast, and before you start editing now, I know you're really excited, and that is great, but you can edit later. After this podcast, I'm gonna drink my actual coffee, and I go to the gym right away. Because in the state, like, this is really funny. When you're dead awake, it's like being on LSD. And if you have taken LSD before, for me, my trips back then, it's like I'm so present that whatever I'm doing in the moment is I cannot imagine anything else. Like right now, I'm in it. I'm in the podcast with you. I want to be here. So I cannot imagine being at the gym. Of course, I can imagine, but it's like, of course, it's like natural to stay here and edit and whatever. But then it's like knowing what's good for you, knowing your highest excitement. And it's good for me to go to the gym. And once I'm actually in the gym, I wanna train because I'm starting and my body gets into it. You know, the body is just like where's energy? Energy is infinite. We can tap into infinite energy. We just gotta follow our choice, but actually gotta do it, taking action. Like Faye the other day, she knows going to the waterfall is so healthy for her, but she had this resistance. But then she was just like 3-1 goes, and she said, "Oh my god, it was so good for me," and she went again yesterday. So this is at this point when you're like really awake, you're so present that you feel sometimes a little paralyzed because you're so in the moment that you kind of need a mommy, a daddy, or someone to guide you. Okay, just take me to the next thing. And this is where your inner adult needs to come out. And I'm like, okay, we gotta go to the gym. Even if we're like, you know, and this is why I don't track my weight or anything, that I need to reach certain numbers or anything, because however I'm feeling is welcome. I just gotta go. I know it's so good for me. And even if I just do like half of what I wanted to do and or just go in the sauna and ice bath, I mostly feel amazing, you know? And this is where you just gotta go. Because in this awake state, it's like, then you don't go anywhere. And this is also great, like get lost in your creativity. I highly recommend. But take care of your suit. Sleep enough, eat healthy, and exercise. These are the 3 big ones. And spend time in nature. And then rest and recover well. Like take care of your suit. And then get lost in your creativity. Yeah. Like I cannot wait after the gym and after I've eaten to come back here in my spaceship and edit this podcast and upload it. And upload Insta stories. I cannot wait. But it's, I repeat myself. All right, that's it. It felt so nice to come back here. I really missed you the last 2 days. And I'm so excited to keep talking. Wow, I have actually a lot of things on my list. Just, downloads that come in the moment. I'm like, I want to talk about that in the podcast. And I love it because I didn't even read my list so much, but just in the flow, like again, the list is my masculine. I build a framework around it. If I don't know what I'm talking about, I can just look at my list. But then in my feminine flow, I talked about half of the things on my list because they just came up in the flow. And this again, the feminine is the magic. Because if I would structured go through my list, this podcast would be so boring because I limit myself of channeling and connecting dots where I would not go in deeply in it if I just moving on to the list, But then that moving on is important because otherwise I get lost in my feminine of like, it's like really balancing the divine masculine and feminine energies inside of you, following your joy, becoming a fully integrated human. This is our job. Take it fucking seriously. And I know it's hard because there is no much like 3D dangling carrots that are shining like, wow. Most people are just chunkies. They're like, how, like my 20s, like it was great, but I was also a chunky in a sense of like how I did my social and everything. And it's just like, and now I'm with Rocker and I have this contract and all these products I get and look at this. And we met. It's like once we get past all the shiny objects and actually like do our inner work, it's really sobering because there isn't, do you think my mom calls me and is proud of me? No, she's probably like, watch my last podcast and is triggered as fuck. Who's telling me like my last podcast? Oh my God. This like mother issue podcast. But then I do have people in my life that see me like Faye. She was like, what the fuck? This was like the most realest shit I've ever seen from you. And I'm like, oh my God. And we just need at least one reflection in our lives that is like that. And don't expect it from like your blood family and stuff. Like gather your chosen family who actually see you and encourage them to reflect you. Because we need that. Because I'm excited to do a podcast with Faye. I ordered her the whole setup of my usual podcast equipment and she's going to start her podcast soon. Ferdi in his masculine. I'm going to set it up for her. I challenged her. She's going to do a full week of doing daily podcasts and then she's onboarded and then wow, I want you to listen to this woman and what she has to share. Her gifts are, I don't see anything out there right now like that. So stay tuned. It's coming in the next days. The podcast equipment shall arrive in like 2 days. And I'm going to set it up for her ASAP. So that's it. I'm so excited to talk to you tomorrow because I actually read right now exciting things on my list. But not overshare right now. Thanks for listening. Until next time. Peace out.